So yes, again, good morning and welcome. Good morning, evening, afternoon, and welcome everyone to our first session of our webinar series, Permaculture Solutions for Climate Change. We are focusing today on water management and resilience. And this series is a collaborative effort between Permatil Timor-Leste, Permatil Global, and the Permaculture Association, and with the collaboration of Minster University. The idea of these webinars came from the requests we received from communities in different parts of the planet. They were looking for solutions or asking us for solutions on water management using permaculture. Building on that, and as well conversations with Permatil Global and Permatil Timor-Leste, this idea of organizing these events came through. And we are thinking that this is a pilot project. So hopefully, depending on how everything goes during these first sessions, the first series, we will plan other topics that are as well under that big umbrella of permaculture solutions for climate change. A huge thanks to our partners and the permaculture team for helping to make this happen. And we are going to talk today about innovative water restoration techniques developed by communities in Timor-Leste, which are tackling or addressing water challenges in a tropical climate with really with some wet and dry seasons or periods. And the next thing I would like to share with you is after the event, we are going to send a feedback form, and we will be asking for your input, and that information will help us to improve the future sessions. So there will be 2 more sessions in the next 2 weeks. I would like to introduce now to our speakers and as well facilitators who will be with us today. So we have Eugenio Lemos is the executive director of Permatil Timor-Leste and an influential figure in permaculture. Igo co-authored the Tropical Permaculture Guidebook and has developed various permaculture curriculum and community projects in Timor-Leste. His achievements include awards like the Earth Hall of Fame Kyoto Award and the Ramon Magsaysay Award, and he recently became Timor-Leste's Special Envoy for Environment, Culture, and the Arts. We will have as well, the second speaker is Izu Pereira. He is director of PermaYouth Timor-Leste, working to empower young people through permaculture and environmental education. And our facilitators are Lachlan McKenzie. He's co-founder of Permaculture Global, based in Australia, and co-author of the original Permaculture Guidebook. Lachlan has a vast background in permaculture education, spanning regions from Timor-Leste to Europe and Australia. Lynn Jenkins is co-founder of Permatil Global and director of Disruptive Media. With over 25 years of experience in social impact communications, Lynn has supported NGOs initiatives across Australia and Timor-Leste, including the publication of the Tropical Permaculture Guidebook. So they will be guiding us today, sharing their experiences from Timor-Leste community projects. And finally, our tech support today is provided by Andy Goldring, Chief Executive of the POP, Permaculture Association. So it's a great team behind the scenes. And I will now hand things over to Lynn and Lachlan, who will be leading this discussion with Igo and Izu.
Thank you very much, Maria, for the introduction. Hello to everyone. Great to see you all joining us. Lynn and I have worked with Ego and Izu and all the Permatil team for many years. We helped form Permatil Global, which is an Australian organisation which helps to support the work in Timor and to share it globally. And so today we're just facilitating. The main people you'll be hearing from are the people who are doing all these amazing projects in Timor. And we're very happy to be helping to share some of their work with you. We're hoping that this will connect people doing work in Timor with people doing work directly in other countries. As you would have seen from the introduction and the registration forms, this is divided up into 3 different webinars. The first one today is mainly focused around identifying the community issues and how Permatil has successfully worked with community to engage them and to develop successful projects. And then the next webinar next week will be more specifically on the techniques that are used to catch and store and spread the water, and how it's used and how communities have regained their water supply after the projects have been implemented. And the third one will be building on that to look at the different livelihoods and opportunities that develop from the communities having a regular having that water supply that they can then use. So we wanted to start, before we get into discussion, Lynn has put together a short video of from Timor. So it helps you to get a feel for the land and for the people and the projects that have been going on. It's about 5 minutes long, or just over, but it's a good starting point. And then from there, we'll jump into the discussion with Ego and Izu and the team. Oh, Maria, if you can get that video going, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Ita quali è conaba recurso B, ita harus pali parte hidrologia atau hidrogeologia. Ne hatudu katak ita nia recurso B, ba iha Timor ne ita kon compara o numero população, ita vele dia suficiente. Ne ita kon hare questão B ba geralmente. Mai B iha Timor ita iha questão ida conaba localização emania urbano. Nomos kono ba itenia condição topografia Timor. Então idanema sa itenia questão idane beke dala barak iha parte barak emalabele asisuba be. Itenia esforço hanesang autoridade hano em primeiro estar maka ita koko para convence na ulunsira atunune hahu hanoing halo investimento iha gestão recurso be. Idane é importante lá limar. Nia razão simples atau assegura itenia recurso ne ho sustentabilidade atau bele assegura quando vai ter recurso B precisa duni atau halu investimento lilio o insa atau hadiah itenia bacia hidrográfico kita precisa hadiah idane atau nune bele recupera filafali hadiah filafali ecologia beninia geralmente se ita la halu idane maka itenia recurso bene nini.
E parte da igreja hare programa de conservação be matane né importante ter a comunidade na vida e que a comunidade começa a compreender na ideia será really but é importante ter teves também lá ia dalan selo atu nasa hamus fila falebe sela la liuhusi programa Permatil no di bahanuring atu be unsamak bele hamus fila falebe. Benefício concreto, né? Mas primeiro, sarane que a comunidade, né? Sira compreende que até bene tumba ia debular, né? De bene penetra e depois outro tema que minha buca fila fale dataran renda sene, mas depois bene belhamuris fila fale bematan sereia craig.
Então, quando é passado, dela uma bene halo ita la conhece malo tia. E ali a cultura ita conhece malo kata kita fet sa humano ita respeita malo, tamba sa sanfoba malo. Mebe quando enhira bene lai haba ita nia be respeita malo ne lai hatia. Telaro ma fet sama mai hare be mak bene la tun toba hene ba sira mai comece tolo kona yene be mak habe ulung. Ui misulam be hanisane. Então, o programa de netame hene, tame 2019, 20 e 2020 ne, a minha problema be lá hona. Então 21 começa a aumentar. Be mata be mak menos, ne começa a força fira fala, forma casa fira fala. Habot também. Nebe ami husi a área de sucalau ne, ami la problema ba be. Benefício ba ami mak li husi be.
O programa Permatil ni conserva bene, ami heta dulu benefício ba ami tamba, iha comece comunidade da rua comece sirani mahune comece dita kuda una modo serani pokoknya qualquer saída det mas sira bele kuda ina ba comece benefício ni ia ona.
Ya lete fo ya partida maka ore anis ne benefício bot maka ia sarene fo be maulikolau be aldeia do Hohonian. Ame halom conservação de tinan rua bakoto ia tempo dan nasana que debu bot tolo nebe antigamente ia teona mas tambah rai taka tempo naro então hadia fila falide ne então comunidade sira nebe hela ia be forro hune ia forro hune agora volume bene ne nenek dinam batinan começa a be aumenta sira balu começa a be nasa kuda modo han hemu buat rumah kada sempre yang merotahan rumah idene impacto direta ba família ba comunidade sene basicnya ba sene saúde e depois quando be hore volume bene ne começa a aumentar tan sira alarga tan sira ne tosca kuda iPhone rumah hena ba então impacto be economia ne mosia
agora nessa atividade de beke durante ne Permatil halo ne hanesang ema water resource engineer hawana engineer wa gestão recurso be hawana atividade ini importante lá lema atividade conservação todo de que Permatil halu dadang agora ne contribui positivo a TBS ba iha setor ne itabele setor ecologia bem ini.
Welcome back, everyone. There was a few different examples there. As you could see, Timor, it is a tropical climate, but it is also, it's very mountainous. It's also very dry in the dry season. And there can be very large issues with water supply, especially in the more remote areas. Yeah, I'd love to just ask a series of kind of almost interview questions to Ego and to Izu and the team, just to get an idea of how they engage with the community. And the first question I'd like to ask is about what are some of the issues that you've identified in the community? What are the reasons why you've been focusing so much on the water restoration projects?
Yeah, thank you, Lachlan. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone all over the world. And it's been great to see you all, even though it's through Zoom, but it's lovely to see your participation. To share from the tropical country of Timor-Leste, just to, as you see on the video that has been shared, but originally, like the topography of Timor-Leste is a very mountain compared to the flatland. So because of the destruction of the forest has been happening over a couple hundred years. So when rain comes all the water has been flushed, washed straight to the ocean and causing landslides, erosion, and also we have severe flooding in some areas. And also during dry season, many communities, especially women and children, they have to walk long distance up and down the hill to searching for water. So I think because of this situation, it inspired Permatil and the teams, and now we involve permaculture youth and also the community across the whole country to trying to address the water scarcity first, because water is the base of all living things. So that's why the Permatil focuses to starting with water restoration with the program called Planting Water. So I think this is these ideas. I think it's already happening around the world, but in Timor-Leste, this program is covering the whole country. Right now, it's up to 700 communities across the country, and within 15 years, this program has successfully bring back over 500 springs back to alive. Then Permatil not working alone, but as I mentioned, that we're working with all stakeholders, very inclusive, including people with disability and all sorts of groups, LGBTI group and women's group and so on. So we're engaging everyone to take part of these activities. Yeah.
Great. So do you want to explain a little bit more about that engagement and how you start the process in a community, and maybe a little bit about the contributions that the community makes to the program as well?
Yeah, thank you. I think first thing after we go to the community, and first thing we identify is the social issue that community facing. One thing is lack access to water, lack of food production, and also the environmental issue. And also we're looking into what cultural approach that the community have. So then usually we're collecting this like a baseline data. We're collecting see what spring is the community more relying on, and we also measure the spring during dry season, and we're also looking into how many households relying on that spring. So after we're collecting a baseline, and then we're starting to approach with local authorities in the local areas, and including community elders, because Timor-Leste is very engaging with cultural ceremony, and every community they have traditional house. So the spring and the reservoir is often it's related attached to the traditional owner of the its land. So that's why we after we identify everything, we often identify where's the area we are going to doing water recharge as a recharge basin. So after we discuss with all the stakeholders, and then we're starting with ritual like a cultural ceremony to start everything, so that we could engage all the community into the program. maybe Izu, okay, you want to add more from youth perspective?
I was just going to ask Izu that, if he can talk about how they engage with the youth.
Boa tarde, irmão. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening for everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just want to add more something that Moaigo just said. So I think the important thing that specific for the youth. So we did the capacity building through the PermaYouth camp itself to train the youth itself how to concentrate something about the belief that the culture things that we have. So I think from there, so we can have something that powerful to work out to for the water conservation itself in our community. So I think it's important for us, and also about the observation for the place itself, and also about the respect about our culture things, the land things about that. And also before the activity that we raise about the water and conservation, we also put the community as a center for everything. So work together with them and also identify things with them, and also how to work to identify that place that we could do the water and conservation, and also to raise the issue for the water safe to help the community.
Thanks, Izu. So I think that's a really good starting point to understand the process of going. Understanding the community and how to approach the community has been very important for the long-term success of the projects, and for communities to feel the ownership of the actual projects. Are you able to talk a bit more about what the communities contribute to the projects, and how you get them to also be a part of it from the beginning, so that they it's not just Permatil coming in, but it's actually Permatil working with the community to work on the community's land?
Yeah, thank you, Lachlan. So to adding to what the community contribution, I think after community realized that what is the situation or the environmental issues in their community, for instance, what the causing of the spring has been dries out is, the community usually farming on the back of the spring. That's also contribute to water scarcity, and also second, in Timor-Leste, the traditional community, like they have certain beliefs that the spring has different rules that we cannot do nearby the spring. This often get by the community, and then also including the community contribute the land that we're using to create weir, reservoir, and so on. So after we collect all of the information, and that's discussed together with the community and socialize with them, and engaging every stakeholder in the community. Then later we starting to have like doing workshop, community workshop together with them. So, and then often community, they contribute food. Also, they contribute their the land that we could use to create a recharge basin. And also the community contribute their labor. And so this is in terms of the contribution, is it's hard to count with financial, but the contribution from the community is very significant. And later, after they see the impact, and 1 or 2 years later, when the springs revive, and then community starting to use that model to continue scale up to other community around nearby them. So I think this is what we've been learning for the past 20 years working directly with community in Timor-Leste. Thank you.
Great. So Izu and Ego, you talked a little bit about the indigenous knowledge and making sure that that is respected and also integrated with all of the projects. Would you like to talk a little bit more maybe about Tarabundu, or maybe about the traditional knowledge of the buffaloes in the springs and some of the culture that you work with to make sure that that's alive with the youth and that knowledge keeps being passed on?
Yeah, thank you, Manlov. Maybe later Mongizu can add some more information. Tarabundu is it's a traditional ceremonial is that used to prohibit people cutting down the forest, hunting, and also other activities to prohibit the community destroy the environment. But also in the traditional culture of the Timorese community, the different communities have different approach, different cultural ceremony to water. So I think what we've been learned so far from different communities, they doing ritual ceremony to ask permission from the garden of the land, the spirit of the land, before we starting to dig ground. So after we join that activities, then they do a cultural ceremony to thank the spirit of the land. So the spirit of the land will looking after the site, so that the site will be become a protected area. And in relation to what we found, that in Timor-Leste, particular water buffalo is play very important roles in creating a swamp, because water buffalo is the animal that they cannot stand for heat, so they will create a hole, and the hole later become when rains come, it's become like a swamp, and the swamp later become the recharge basin. So when Permatil starting to identify this a number of years ago, and we realized that the holes or the swamp that's created by water buffalo is linking to the local spring. But when the water buffalo is moved out from the area, and the swamp is dries out, and also its impact on the local spring also dries out. So actually, the planting water ideas is also, it's starting from learning from the water buffalo, what's it called, behavior to create the swamp. And we call, in Timor, we call devu. Devu is it's particular name for sites where water buffalo used to bath. So this is, so we follow water buffalo, and then we rehabilitate what water buffalo have done already, or we could create new artificial reservoir above the mountain areas to recharge water, rainwater as much as we can back to the ground or to the aquifer to revive springs, creeks, and also if we in the catchment wide catchment areas, then we'll contribute to a whole water fed. And often after a few years later, the area where dry will become greener again. Then we'll attract wildlife come back to the areas, and especially when we create this recharge basin area, the vegetation will just popping up from the ground, and it's mainly a native plant. So this is actually really contribute to increase the biodiversity of the local area. Maybe Mang Izu want to add a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Milo. So back to the question that Mang Lachlan just asked. So I think in our experience in Timor, so I think the culture ceremony is as a foundation for everything before we start the activity. So how to respect the land itself, and also how to respect the secret house itself, and also it's not only about the culture that we represent or we believe that, but also the area that belongs to which secret house. So with what spring that belongs to what secret house. So they have their own rules that come from their own secret house itself. So the step that we do during the process of it's like the survey and also the how to implement things. So we see the secret or culture ceremonies as something that is very important to start our activity itself. So because the cultural ceremonies bring together like a united for the people, for the community itself to become as a one, to work together to solve things that solve the problem, so especially a problem about the water things in their place or their own house. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. So yeah, it's such a fantastic examples of permaculture, that the observation, all the principles and ethics working with the community. Often they're working with different landholders, and again, the process is to catch the water, to put it into the ground so that the springs can be revived, to spread it, to slow it down so that the creeks aren't flooding, but they're actually holding the water. So in the next webinar series, we'll be looking at the actual techniques, but if you don't have the community engagement, you don't have the cultural connection and understanding, then the techniques don't resonate with the community. They don't hold. So before we get into the questions, I would like to just ask one last question. Maybe Izu, you can start this one to talk a little bit about just an introduction of engaging with the PermaYouth, with the maybe a little bit about the camps, or like not so much all the practical activities, but just how you explain the overview of the PermaYouth camp and how that's part of the water restoration program.
So for the PermaYouth camp, I think that it's a very important program that's held by the Permatil, and so it's held by Permatil, that a place that for the youth itself to learn things, to share things together about the water, and also about it's not only about the water, but the place to share things that we have from our community, to share with other community. So the experience that they brought from other place to, and we also with another place, it's like we brought together, and also to learn how to discipline and how to respect itself. So with it's like a permaculture things that we learn in Timor, that we bring the youth together as a key for the development of the country itself, and also to push the process of something that we can see in the future more better for the future, for the Timor-Leste.
Great. And you just held a national PermaYouth camp. How many people were there?
So national PermaYouth camp that we just passed is supposed to be 500, but more is from 500. I think 700 or 800 youth involved in the PermaYouth camp itself. So it's like from different organization for the youth itself, and involvement of the some part of the government, and also about the community leader. It's very important for the involvement in PermaYouth camp if we have a community leader, because there's like a big role in the place. So what something that they are learned from the PermaYouth itself, it's very easy to organize with the community in that place. So from there we have learned I think 5 thematic that from the PermaYouth camp. So we have it's like a water and conservation, Debu itself, and also we have it's like the rain harvesting, and also the barrier to create a barrier. So it's like it's a place for them to learn something new, and also to share. I think because the youth itself is come from a different community and also different movement that already established. I think 2 or 3 years ago. So they come back again with some of new people and share things that they have learned, also the progress that they already achieved in their place.
Great, thanks, Mal. And just for everyone who is listening, so the youth in Timor, the age is from 17 to 35. So these are already people who are moving into young adulthood, and so it's a great way to be engaging them, not just to be community leaders and environmental leaders, and in terms of climate solutions as well, but also to be doing things in their own communities, and to be, yeah, I just thought I'd add that. I can see one question, so it'd be great to move into the questions. I can see one, so regarding land matters, from Louis. How are you engaging with landowners and convincing or ensuring that their land is preserved for water management and that the land is not deforested for other uses?
Yeah, thank you, Louis. That's a very interesting question. In Timor-Leste, land issue is very big. So most of the land is divided into private land, communal land, and state land. So often Permatil approach to water restoration, we have a form called acceptance form. After long discussion with the stakeholder in the community, including the local authority, and also we identify who the spring belong to, its a family or it's a traditional owner, and including the above of the spring is often we identify the area that we are going to dig a reservoir. Also, we asking about who the owner of the land. After we identify, then we go and approach the landowner or the traditional owner. So, and explain the reason why we are going to dig a retention pond or create weir or planting reforestation. And we ask them if they agree to it, then we ask them to sign an agreement that they allow us to dig a retention pond and planting the variety of productive trees in the areas, and also in the statement in the agreement saying that this land maintaining for the same owner, and anything we do in the land later will become a still belong to the owner. If they want to share with the community, is they most welcome. But the most important is the land become a recharge basin for the springs that the whole community is sharing. I think so far, Permatil has been reaching out to couple hundred community across Timor, and mainly, I think only 5% of the community is the questioning, but after we explain all of that, later they agree. So I think that's what the successful of this planting water program is covering the whole country, because the community is very welcome because they are facing the water scarcity. Thank you.
Thanks, Ego. That leads into the next question really well, which is about what kind of support are you getting and how are you working with local and national governments?
Thank you. The program that we did with water restoration, in the beginning, I think just to explain that this program we started in 2004 with very small scale. In the beginning, you know, honestly, there is no much interest coming from the government or, you know, INGOs, and mostly all of the investment or the money spent on water infrastructure, like a putting tank, putting pipe, irrigation, canal, and so on. But because this number of years, because Timor-Leste is a very tropical country, and often the community, when dry season, the spring has been dried out, and all of this infrastructure is not functioning well. So therefore, Permatil approached with the community to restore the spring by focus on the catchment areas, on upstream areas, and create a retention basin around the catchment areas. I think this is later starting to attract different funding, including from the government, including from the INGO, including from the different government agencies from international. So I think slowly, this is starting to get built up. And so now, as I mentioned, that we cover quite so many areas, and as Izu has explained about the PermaYouth camp, we started the PermaYouth camp in 2008 with engaging scouts in it, but now we focus on permaculture youth in general. So now we have trained over 6,000 young people so far, and 70% of these young people engaging in the program across the whole country. Thank you, Marlo.
No worries. And is that, so the government and the local governments, they're involved with these programs and starting to support you with them?
Yeah, not all the time, not every local government or national government support, but starting to see it's not usually this kind of program appear in the state budget. So I think already a number of years, including Permaculture Youth Camp, PermaYouth Camp is starting to appear in the state budget. And also different government institutions is starting to mention about water restoration activities in rural development. So I think this is now, and even the government leader, like a vice prime minister, is starting to talk about these ideas of the importance of planting water. I think in terms of the policy, it's really dipping into the government policy. In terms of funding, I think we still struggle, but it's slowly it's getting built up. So, and including some of the local authority, local government, they're starting to realize how important to include these activities in the local government funding. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Mal. So there's a few more questions. So we'll try and be quick, but they're all good questions. So there's one about once the water has been re-established in an area, how do you ensure that the water resources will be maintained for a community once they've been re-established?
Izu, you want to explain that?
So, sorry, Lachlan, can you repeat again the question, Ma?
I'll go off mute and then I'm okay. After you have successfully brought a spring back in a community, how do you make sure that that spring is maintained and kept well, and that the water stays, that the project continues and gets better?
So, so after the spring goes well, and also I think we also have the movement, the youth movement in every area in Timor, and also with the community itself. So because the PermaYouth camp, we always involved with the chef of the village, and also with the youth itself. So they're the one who take care of the place, to how to maintain things, because they're also the base. It's for agriculture people. So that's why they have to maintain the water itself, water spring itself, to become clean, and also maintain for the long run for the activity and the field for in community itself. So they have a team for, it's not only the movement team and also but the community team that they already built in community in the area.
Right, and I would add that so the PermaYouth, they are also supported with more skill sharing from the national PermaYouth network now, and from Permatil staff who help to provide mentoring on an ongoing basis to help ensure the success. And that leads on to the next question, which is about if a community has had success with planting water, are they sharing that knowledge with their neighbours who need their own springs to be replenished?
Yeah, thank you, Lachlan. I think before I answer that question, I'll just adding to what Izu already explained. I think that question will be explained more in the third webinar, but just to emphasize that those areas that normally don't have water, but now after we did the restoration planting water activities, then the spring has been restored, and often their livelihood is improved, including the community grow more vegetable, they have livestock, and also they started to have aquaculture, and also the area that has been restored, a number of years the forest come back and the wildlife come back, and those areas become tourist attractive sites that, you know, we have so many places that now become campsites. People, youth or university students, they went to do the camp. So I think that's adding to Izu. And the question about sharing, I think what we found that the community who have experience to restore their springs, they often they so proud to share with their neighboring community, because it's become it's become like a movement, as Mang Izu explained, that after the camp, the youth camp, and these young people establishing the movement called water conservation movement. And this is happening from very small villages up to big villages. And so the young people, they very excited after they see the result, and they're so proud and excited to share with their neighboring villages. So this is often happened for the past 30 years. Thank you, Malak.
No worries. And we're also trying, so Permatil Global are trying to support the further spread of the work by creating educational resources that also help to share the knowledge based on the work that Permatil is doing. And we've just started a series of short films which will help to describe, and then that'll help to spread that information within Timor and also globally. There was one last, I think we're getting very close to the end, but there was a tricky question to finish with about maintaining water for as long as possible for a refugee camp during the dry season. So I'm not sure if you can look at, so just ideas for maybe, for me, that would think about how you collect the water into tanks. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you look at storing the water that's comes from the springs to make sure it's all year round. Might help with that question.
Yeah, thank you, Lachlan. So thank you for the question. I think in terms of refugee camp, I think I understand refugee camp is concentrated in one site. So I think what can be done is one is collecting rainwater as much as we can to utilize for the refugee communities. And second is to what ideas we have been doing newly for Timor is to create biopore, like digging a hole into the ground, small holes that we could allow water to infiltrate to the ground to create enough moisture in the ground. So that especially for the community to grow different variety of crops, and also including fruit trees. So these ideas is not only to restore water, but also to create enough moisture into the ground. So also, especially in the area, like a flat area, that community using bore water or well. This infiltration well, we could create infiltration well around the like a 10 or 20 meter distance from the well itself, and then by planting these bananas, papaya, and vegetable, and then the hole itself, like the 1.5 meter diameter, that's to allow rainwater to recharge back to the ground to feeding into the well. So that to increase the amount of water in the well during dry season. I think we don't we have case of refugee in the past, but I think in terms of this, I think when we are talking about the community who living in the coastal areas that using well, I think the ideas of creating an infiltration well to recharge water to supply to the well, I think this is the ideas. And also in the video before is we're working in the island very across the village. The community who live in the coastal area, they have salty well. So we're using by recharging water on the upstream areas that allow the fresh water to infiltrate the ground, and then pushing a little bit the salt water back to the coastal, so that the taste of the well is changing. So that's what happened in the Atoll Island. I hope I can answer the question.
I think you did a great job. I think a lot of the answer is like also the land above the refugee camps, which makes it much more difficult a solution. But I think you've given some really good ideas there. So that's about, we've gone just a little bit over already. So I will actually hand back to Maria now. So I'm glad we've had some time to answer some of your excellent questions. And we will keep going. So Maria, back to you for now.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you as well to everyone for joining us today. Yeah, we are a bit late. I just have a quick thing to share with all of you. And apart from saying thank you to our speakers, facilitators, and everyone who was behind the scenes supporting the event, I would like to share just a last information on an event that is coming next year, organized by Permaculture Timor-Leste, and that is the PermaYouth Convergence. Is happening in Timor-Leste between the 20th and the 25th of October 2025, and it's 6 days. It's going to be 6 days celebrating permaculture, arts, culture, and music, and building the youth movement. So yeah, a fantastic opportunity for everyone to join in. So have a look at the website. I'm sharing the website to the event in the chat. Just sharing it to everyone. Yes. And yeah, thanks all for your participation today. I think that's all for today. Thank you for your time. Please share the events with everyone, and see you next. The next one is on the 12th of November. And yeah, see you next week. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day, evening, afternoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.